black death, and racial perceptions of the historical desert. It is important to note that the Egyptian priest acknowledged the importance of geology and weather in determining styles of human culture and the fixed psychological climate of the then inhabitants of Greece. He also acknowledged that the Greeks, always being children, possessed greater difficulty in appreciating ancient events externally and internally. He also acknowledged the human tendency to suffer traumatic psychological scars when undergoing cultural change in response to geological catastrophe that made it difficult to build upon the achievements of one's ancestors, and often resulted in laborious repetitions of discovery and inventions that had long preceded the new culture. This latter issue is totally contrary to present notions of historical evolution that position the current Western world as the progressive step-by-step evolutionary historical advancement of human culture from a much less advanced primitive past to a most advanced Aryan or European African present. Apparently, the continued cover-up of high cultures and great scientific achievements of African cultures prior to Aryan cultures is partially conscious and unconscious. From a conscious perspective, this is done to exact blind obedience from mentally enslaved Africans who are forced to see their European African masters as gods and themselves as outclassed. By doing so, Africans view the products of their own minds as worthless and do little to develop such ideas. Then too, if such ideas are developed, the mental slave African will not have the conviction to protect such ideas from theft. Rather, they will do what the master says, or sadly give away their mental products with minimal compensation and little concern for the consequential impact on their communities. They will not put their lives at risk in protecting their children. From an unconscious perspective, European Africans have grave difficulty recalling memories of pre-Aryan high cultures because it reminds them of associated memories that shortly followed or were simultaneous with such cultures, the Ice Age conditions of northern Eurasia. Closely allied with such memories are the memories of the psychological fall and change from African matriarchal agrarian societies to Ice Age Eurasian patriarchal nomadic societies. Even more so was the loss of pineal activation for many following pineal calcification and its resultant entrapment at the doorway to death. In an article entitled Home of Man, Notes and Bibliography, The Cycles of Civilization's Black Gnostic Studies, Black Gnostic Studies 1980, it is written, Dr. Churchward has given the age of original primary man as 2,000 years. From the pygmy, Anu, to Homo erectus, evolution continued progressively into groups. 1. The non-totemic group, or pre-totemic people. 2. The totemic people. 3. The Nilotic people. 4. The stellar mythos people. Afterwards, the stellar, lunar, and solar cult people followed, and various exodes of these left Egypt. The sun travels around its center once in every 25,920 years, forming the one great year, and during that period, the northern hemisphere is frozen down to about the 56-degree latitude part of the time. There is a great autumn, great winter, and great spring in the sun's year, as in our year of 365 days. When Herodotus was in Egypt, the mystery teachers of the heavens told him that during a certain length of time, 39,000 years, the sun had 4 times deviated from its ordinary course, having twice set where it uniformly rises. This, however, had produced no alteration in the climate of Egypt. The fruits of the earth and the phenomena of the Nile was always the same, nor had any extraordinary or fatal diseases accrued. Herodotus, Eutupes cx Latetan. No astronomer throughout the modern world has ever been able to explain this, nor have they taken into consideration the knowledge of the wise men of Egypt, except, probably, Major General Drayson. He, in his works, corroborates the facts that were known to these old wise men, although I do not think he mentions the mystery teachers. Thus, we have here an oral historical record of actual written records that were over 11,000 years old, in an age that required advanced mathematics, geometry, physics, optics, climatology, geology, etc., on the part of ancient Africans, to make and maintain such advanced scientific records. And as the old Egyptian priest noted, despite claims that modern science is the most advanced, the critical message of the African scientist, that weather is a constantly changing affair, and so too with culture, today's world, rather than Being able to listen and build upon the achievements of ancestors, we'll have to learn the same lessons all over again. During the 9th dynasty, 3000 BC, before the first Eurasian invasion of Egypt by the Hyksos, a pharaoh passed on to his heirs the following wisdom. According to Dr. Jacob Caruthers, 1984, "Lo, the miserable Asiatic, he is wretched because of the place he's in, short of water, bare of wood. Its paths are many and painful because of mountains. He does not dwell in one place. Food propels his legs. He fights since the time of Horus." Clearly, such a reference points to early African knowledge of the psychological differences of the people emerging from post-Ice Age Eurasia, nomadic lifestyle, and R-like mentality. Next, there are other written records that speak of ancient advanced African civilizations that have been lost to current-day European African history. R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch, 1982, has cited several historical documents that support the concept of the 36,000-year pre-dynastic history of Egypt. He cited the papyrus of the Turin, an ancient Egyptian papyrus now kept in a museum in the northern Italian city of Turin. This papyrus contains a complete list of the pharaohs who reigned over Upper and Lower Egypt from the first dynasty of Menes to the new empire of the 18th dynasty, including the duration of each reign. However, in the papyrus's first column that precedes the column containing Menes is a list of prehistorical rulers of Upper and Lower Egypt. These were the divine dynasties of gods and heroes that included a list of Neters, gods, that ruled for 23,000 years and included Ta, Ra, Shu, Geb, Osiris, Seth, Thoth, Maat, and Horus. Following the divine dynasties, the Papyrus of Turin listed a series of mortal kings who ruled Egypt for 13,420 years before Menes, the Venerables of Memphis, Venerables of the North, and Shemsuhor or Companions of Horus.